Welcome to the update. Episode 8 of Family Guy has an amazing story that I thought I should share. The episode has an A story and a B story. The A story focuses on Brian and Stewie while the B story focuses on Peter, Lois and Chris. We are going to start by reviewing the A story involving Brian and Stewie. The episode starts off with Brian and Stewie watching Tom Tucker explaining why his hair is white and says that his hairdresser is out of town. He then goes off to introduce a female pop star who goes by the name Mary Elizabeth Becca Ryan and her debut song.
Excitement in the music world as former Jolly Farm star Mary Elizabeth Becca Ryan is releasing her debut single, the surprisingly filthy Face Chair.
Oh my God, I can't believe mebr is finally releasing her first song!
Stewie gets exited by the news about Mary Elizabeth and tells Brian that he is a huge fan of her. Stewie also comes up with an acronym of her long name by calling her mebr. Stewie even proves that he is a huge fan by showing that he got the name mebr tattooed on him. Later on, Brian finds Stewie making a TikTok video with mebr's new song. Brian and Stewie get into an argument on the validity of mebr's songs and whether these songs are appropriate for kids. Clearly Brian is not a fan of mebr, so Stewie comes up with a plan of tricking Brian into going to her concert. Stewie gets a taxi and in the taxi he opens a can of dog food and Brian quickly rushes into the taxi and gets trapped in there and is forced to go to the concert with Stewie. Brian and Stewie are finally at the concert but it seems only Stewie is enjoying between the two. Stewie gets excited and decides to take a selfie and share it on Twitter with a caption saying "Oink oink my favorite pig." While performing on stage mebr looks at her phone and sees Stewie's post but she takes it the wrong way and assumes that Stewie's tweet is meant to be offensive. Stewie gets called out by mebr and Stewie's Twitter account gets reported and blocked for bullying. All this happens so fast to the point that Stewie did not even have a chance to explain himself. This kind of reminds of how cancel culture works on Twitter and Facebook. Immediately someone says something that a small group of powerful people find offensive, you'll be blacklisted without even being heard out or given a chance to clearly voice your opinion. Anyway, back to the story. While mebr fans get upset about Stewie's post, Brian and Stewie decided to run away from the concert before anyone recognizes Stewie. Stewie and Brian get home and try to wait it out but Stewie says that things have gotten worse because some people have created a deepfake image of Stewie at the January 6th Capitol riot. Stewie acknowledges that he was at the Capitol riot but he did not enter the building.
This is all a product of the stan culture. See, fans form these strong bonds with celebrities, so when you insult them, you inadvertently start a war with thousands of people.
I wish I could explain myself, but no one will listen.
Stewie comes up with a great idea for him to reach out to the fans or mebr. He decided that he is going to sing a song in his kitchen just like when Gal Gadot got her fellow celebrities to sing Imagine during the pandemic. Stewie goes ahead and sings the song Mr. Boombastic by Shaggy in his kitchen.
Mr. Lover Lover, Mr. Lover Lover, she called me.
Stewie sings the song and shares it online but the song actually made things worse. Stewie goes to school but all the kids shun him because of the mebr scandal. No one wants to play with him anymore. Stewie gets home and decides to leave his family on a getaway but Brian shows support to Stewie by saying that what happened to Stewie was unfair and that he was willing to stick with him no matter what. Stewie then asks Brian if he could tweet what he just said but Brian hesitates because he knows that once he publicly takes Stewie's side the mebr fans will attack him. Stewie walks towards the house to pick up the remaining stuff from the house but his tricycle blows up along with Stewie's property including his teddy bear toy Rupert. Brian finds Stewie crying while going through Rupert's belongings and he tries to comfort him. Brian walks into Stewie's room only to find a bunch of notes on the wall suggesting that Stewie was going to unalive mebr. Brian quickly rushes looking for Stewie to stop him from taking his actions. Mebr is at a concert about to perform and Stewie manages to get backstage. Before Stewie does anything to mebr, Brian arrives and tells Stewie not to unalive mebr. Stu corrects Brian by telling him that he is not here to unalive mebr but to just talk to her so that they can clear up things in person. Mebr tells Stewie that she has forgotten about him because he is old news. Stewie still blames mebr for ruining his life. Stewie goes on stage and rants about why fans choose to follow whatever a celebrity says instead of thinking for themselves and listening to scientists. But the crowd does like Stewie's message. They boo him off stage and throw pretzels at him until he left the stage. Offstage Brian comforts Stewie by surprising him with a newly fixed Rupert. Brian and Stewie leave the concert but first Brian deforms Stewie's head as a way of disguising Stewie from the mob. The first part of the episode clearly shows the dangers censorship of social media can be especially when there is a lot of miscommunication and hastiness in decision making. From the beginning of the episode, Stewie was misunderstood and he nearly lost his life because someone on social media misunderstood what he said. This story also teaches that we should make sure that what we communicate on social media is as clear as possible and not in any way misrepresented. We now focus on the B story of the episode. This part focuses on Peter, Lois and Chris. Chris decides that he is going to use baseball to try and get girls. He asks Peter to teach him how to play and Peter agrees. As they go outside to play baseball, Peter struggles to breathe and falls down. Lois tells Peter that his overweight state is affecting his relationship with Chris as it is reducing the amount of time Peter can spend with Chris. She further advises him to lose some weight. Peter disagrees and claims that he is fine. He then begs her to drag him to the living room.
I think it might be time to get your weight under control. It's affecting your relationship with Chris. Boys need a father who can spend time with them.
The following day, Peter and Lois go to the hospital to get Peter's weight reduced. The doctor recommends that Peter should either start exercising or become a vegan, but Peter rejects all those options. He then requests that he be offered the same type of surgery that Honey Boo Boo's mom got for her to lose weight quickly. The doctor tells Peter that the surgery is called lap band surgery and that he was willing to offer him that. Peter gets the lap band surgery and looks slender, but Lois is not happy about this because the surgery has left Peter with a lot of loose hanging skin. Peter embraces the new skin flaps. Peter and Lois dance as Dr. Hartman sings, and in the process you can visibly see that Lois is in shock. While Lois and the kids are watching TV, Peter comes down from the staircase with flabby skin. Lois tries to make fun of Peter by giving him a bad nickname, but this upsets Peter. Chris asks Peter for help with a science project, but Peter refuses to help him because he wants to catch up on all activities he missed when he was fat.
So are you gonna help me with my science fair project?
I would love to, Chris, but like all people who undergo drastic weight loss, I have time to make up for.
Peter arrives home and Lois immediately asks him where he has been because Chris has been waiting for Peter to help him with the science project. After being confronted, Peter quickly forms a cocoon-like structure using his skin and hides in there until Lois walks always. Chris goes to the science fair alone and tries to conduct Benjamin Franklin's experiment of conducting electricity using a kite, but the experiment goes horribly wrong and he ends up injuring one of the judges. Chris almost gets failed for lacking a working kite, but Peter suddenly shows up out of nowhere and volunteers to be Chris's guide. Peter apologizes to Chris for his absence during the time he needed him the most. While Peter is being flown as a kite, he gets electrocuted along with Chris. The electrical shock causes Peter to regain his previous fat body. Chris ends up winning the science fair for this. Back home, the Griffins are watching TV and Chris asks Peter to play catch with him, but Peter runs out of breath once again due to being overweight. This creates a typical Family Guy ending whereby everything goes back to the way it was. The second part of the episode clearly shows how Peter struggles to keep himself happy while still making sure that every other family member is happy and well taken care of. Peter is usually presented as a selfish guy who mostly cares about beer and himself, but this episode showed us that Peter can be a selfless character at least once in a while. That's it from the update.